विथ कपालभाति प्राणायाम। तो एक बार सांस लेंगे पूरा पेट से एंड एक साथ सांस को स्लो करेंगे। ब्रीथ इन, ब्रीथ आउट।
Means for you to why should we do yoga and meditation every day? What is the importance and what we are missing if somebody is not doing?
As per my understanding, hello, I'm Chintan Shah, and as per my understanding, we are doing yoga for energizing our body and mind, so that entire day-to-day stress is relieved and we are charged up for next day's activity.
Okay, good. So basically, we have to understand, there are two aspects of life that we are living. I'm sure many of you would know already that there is a body, the physical body which we can feel and touch, and then there is a non-physical dimension. Like computer has two sides of it. One is the hardware, and other is software. The hardware part is one which you can feel, you can touch, and you can modify it. The doctors can feel our body, and the science, medical science is very advanced, where we can do anything with our body. For example, even if your heart is not working, it can be replaced. So the medical side is very strong, but and we spend a lot of time and energy to nurture the physical body. So for example, we worry about the vitamins, proteins, and we eat food, and a lot of things we do to nurturing the physical aspect. But then there is also a software aspect of our life, that is our mind. And normally the mind also needs a nurturing. The mind also need to be strong, mind also need to be stable, mind also need to be focused, and all this nurturing happens through like we do nurture our body. Similar to that, we also need to nurture our mind, and until unless we do that, our mind will not be strong. And it is said that if you have a very strong body but a weak mind, you cannot go very far. But on the other hand, if you have a weak body but very strong mind, you can go far. So basically, a nurturing of mind is equally important as the nurturing of body. And this second aspect of nurturing of mind is, I think, is not happening in a really great way. We are not able to transfer that to our children. We are not able to tell them in schools and colleges that look, nurturing of mind or strength of mind is as important as the strength of body. And therefore this yoga, meditation, all those aspects are really very much required, and we must continue to do it, and we must continue to spread it also. Is there any question? I mean, so I have been following and doing this meditation yoga for almost 15 years. I am teacher of Art of Living, and we teach, I teach particularly what is called the happiness program. So basically this is another dimension about the happiness, that, as per the Gita, all the work that we do in the life, all the actions that we take in the life has only one purpose, that we all want to be happy, isn't it? There cannot be any other dimension of our activity that we do. So whether we would like to achieve something, whether we would like to become do it because we want to be happy, but what happens in practice, that in practice there are if you ask a person who is studying in 12th and ask him if he is happy, the answer most likely will be that once I pass the 12th exam, then I will be happy. If you ask the person who is in the who got the good marks in 12th exam and then asked whether he is happy, the answer would be once I get a good admission in a good college, then I will be happy. And then you ask a person who is already in a good college, in IIT, and ask if they are happy, they will say that once I get a good job, then I will be happy. And the person with the good job will say that I want to settle down in life and then I'll be happy. The person who has settled down in the life, if you ask him, then he will say that once my children and their children get settled down and they'll be happy. So what we do is we keep putting conditions on our happiness. We always say that if I get this, then I'll be happy. If I do that, then I'll be happy. But in reality, that condition never arrives, because as soon as our mind is like that, as soon as we get something, our mind goes to the next thing, and we get the next thing, the mind will go to the third thing, and we go to third thing, it will go to the fourth thing. So that is a tendency of your mind, that it keeps hopping from one desire to other and other to other and other to other. And therefore, we need to understand that for being happy, we need not to put all these conditions, because what we see is, in our life we see that there are people who are married and happy, and unmarried and also happy. There are people who are doing a job and happy, and not doing job are also happy. People, those who are poor and happy, and rich and not happy. So if you look at around the examples of who are happy and who are not happy around us, you will find out that people in all conditions are happy. And therefore, whatever is our condition, whatever is our situation, irrespective of that, we should just be happy. Or even if somebody asks, for example, if in my office he asks anybody, how are you? So the answer would be that I'm happy, not I'm okay, I'm fine. I keep saying that if you ask people, how are you? So people say, I'm okay, I'm fine. And the whole life we are stuck at the okay and fine level, right? We keep saying, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm fine. But we do not do such a hard work in our life just to be okay or fine. We do it just for being happy. And therefore, the wisdom is that we be happy. We just be happy as we are in whatever situation, condition that we are in. Does it make sense? So let me ask, how are all of you, who are listening? How are you?
Happy.
Happy.
I am happy.
Good. So
Happy.
Happy.
very nice. So some people still stuck at fine level, even after all kind of thing. So this happiness, sometimes we may be very, feeling bad inside that अभी अभी किसी से झगड़ा हुआ है, घर में झगड़ा हो के आए और ऑफिस पहुंच गए और मूड बहुत खराब है, और किसी ने पूछ लिया कि हाउ आर यू, देन व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू आंसर? Even at that situation, you should say that I am happy, because कभी कभी झूठ बोलने से भी कोई नुकसान नहीं होता, सबका फायदा होता है. If you are saying you are happy, that not only that something happens inside us, our emotions are also determined by what we are speaking from our mouth. So if your mouth is saying that I'm happy, it has impact on your emotions. Not only that it has impact on your emotions, but it has also impact on people who are listening. And therefore, even if you have to lie and say that I'm happy, that is a good lie that you should say. So till the real happiness comes in our life, till the real smile that comes in our life, we need to keep saying that I'm happy. And it has an impact. And if you want to really understand, why we go through the swings and why it happens, why there are ups and downs, why you sometimes feel good and sometimes feel bad, what we need to understand is that there are various levels of existence. We exist as a human at various levels. It is not only that we have body, but there are 7 levels that we exist. And I'll go through these 7 levels and tell you what is the good thing and not so good thing about it. So for example, the first level that we exist is our body, that we have physical body. Everybody can touch and feel, and we are here because we have body. Now the requirement of the body that it should be healthy and happy. We should have a healthy, happy, healthy body all the time. But the tendency of the body is that it keeps getting sick. Sometime you get cold, sometime you get fever, sometime cough, and all kind of things keeps happening. So in order to keep our body healthy, we should do the yoga, pranayam, physical work, all kind of things we should keep doing. So that is the level at which we are, the body. The second level of our existence is the breath, right? Our body, and we have life in us as long as there is a breath in the body, right? Now, what should be the nature of the breath in the body? The nature of the breath is that it should be long and deep breaths. We should be really having long and deep breaths. Now, but what is the tendency of our breaths? The tendency is that it keeps changing the pace. Sometimes you will be having a long breath, sometimes you'll be having short breath, especially as the day passes and as our emotion changes, the breath pattern also changes. For example, when you are angry, when you are scared, when you are afraid of something, then your breath will be fast, and shallow, isn't it? Have you noticed? When you are angry, your breath will be right. But when you are happy, when you are on the seashore, for example, in the evening, and it's a nice breeze, and that time, observe your breath, and you'll see that your breath will be long and deep. Normally, you'll go with the long. So basically, our breathing pattern changes as per our emotions. But the requirement of the breath is that it should be long and deep. By the way, let me tell you some more things about the breath. Number one, that it is a very powerful thing that we have, but most of us do not know how to breathe. For example, most of us use only 30% of our lung capacity. So the kind of breathing that we do is not sufficient to fill our lungs, and we are using 30% of the lungs. And because you are using 30% of the lungs, the oxygen intake is only 30%. And because oxygen intake is only 30%, the purification of the blood is only 30%. So, which is really not good. And we should, the people who are doing more pranayam, their lung capacity keeps increasing, and once you increase your lung capacity, you're actually taking more intake of oxygen, and you are getting more purification done. And why we need to purify the body from inside? Because we keep eating a lot of garbage throughout the day, something which our tongue likes, your body doesn't like, and a lot of toxins gets created in the body, and that those toxins also get to be expelled from the body. You will be surprised to know that only 20 to 30% toxins get out of body through the urination, through the sweat, through the toilet, and all those things. But 70 to 80% toxins get eliminated from the body through the breath only. So that is why the breathing is even more important. And as I've been saying, that the breathing has a connection with the status of mind, right? So when you are happy, your breathing is long and deep. When you are sad, scared, afraid, then your breathing is shallow and fast. So breathing is something which is so important in our life, but we do not realize. I keep asking this question to people, what is the most important thing in your life? What is the most important? You know what people say? My wife is most important, children are most important, my job is important, my house and my parents and all kind of thing. But the breath is not in that list. What is the important thing? But if you do not breathe for 2 minutes, most of you will die, isn't it? Just 2 minutes. So there is something which you cannot live without it for more than 2 minutes, is not in the important list at all. So that is the ignorance that we have, that we do not know how important the breath is. And therefore, because you do not know, you have not done much work to improve your breathing and focus on it. So breathing is very, very important. So first, and by the way, breathing is very important activity, because this is the event between which our life is defined. So the first time when you born and come on this planet, the first act that we do in life is breathing in, isn't it? And the last thing that you do in your life is breathing out. So the entire life is between these two events, breathing in and breathing out. So it's very thing, if you're already doing yoga, pranayam, great. If not, you should start doing more yoga, more pranayam, so that your lung capacity increases. You take more oxygen inside and your body remains more humane and more purified. All right. So the seven aspect of life that we are discussing. First is the body. Second is the breath, and the third is mind. We all of us has a mind. Without that, we do not exist. So mind is very important aspect of our life. And what is the job of the mind, by the way? Can anybody tell me? What is the role of the mind in our life? खुद को control करके
Change our attitude.
to change our attitude. Okay. Actually, mind has a very important function. And if you do not understand what is the function of our mind, we will be, beating around the bush. So the function of the mind is to comprehend the world. For example, we have senses, our eyes, our ears, our tongue, our skin. These are all our senses. But to comprehend the signals from the sense is the job of the mind. For example, if I'm looking a beautiful scenery, in Himalaya, so my eyes are only looking at the scenery. It doesn't know whether it's a good scenery or bad scenery. But it is the mind who is actually enjoying that good scenery, right? For example, if I'm eating gulab jamun, so my tongue is only testing that it is a sweet and it has a flavor. But the joy of eating a gulab jamun is actually done by the mind, right? So the job of the mind is to comprehend what we see around, what we listen, what we touch, what we feel, right? So that's great. But if you want to comprehend what is happening, your mind should be where the action is. Your mind should be where the action is. And your action is always happening in the present moment, right? When I'm talking to you, the action in your life is happening right now. It is not happening in the future. It is not happening in the past. So when whatever is happening, that happens in this moment only. And in this moment, your mind has to be there. And if your mind is not there in this moment, I may be talking to you something, but you're not listening because your mind is somewhere else. So though your ears are catching the signal, but your mind is not comprehending. So that is the tendency of the mind. Your mind has to be in the moment where we are right now, but it has a tendency to go here and there, right? Sometimes it goes in the future, sometimes it goes in the past. So that is a problem with our mind, that it keeps fluctuating. And in this modern world, when the information is flowing very fast and thick and all kind of news keeps coming to us, the fluctuation of mind is even faster. And because it is fluctuating faster, it has it creates a stress in the nervous system. And therefore the mind which is more focused and in present moment, the mind which is less confused is the one which is energetic mind, one which is comprehending what is happening in present moment. So there is a problem in the status, in the level of mind also, it keeps fluctuating. By the way, every time it fluctuates and goes to the future and past, it is not good, For example, if our mind is going in the future, what will happen? It will worry, right? It will think about the situation, or it will worry, God, what will happen to my salary? What will happen to my future? What will happen to my children? All kind of worries will come. And if the mind goes in the past, then what will happen? It will mostly regret. Oh, I should not have done this. I should not have done that. So the mind keeps fluctuating between this regret and worries, which is really not good. So the tendency of the mind is to fluctuate, and the requirement is that it should be stable in the current moment, the present moment. So there is, so this is a third level at the status at the level of mind. So first level of our existence is body. The second level is breath. The third level is mind. The fourth level that we have is intellect. Without our intellect, we are not humans, right? That is one of the important characteristic that the God has. Intellect is to decide, take a decision, right? Make a judgment That is the job of intellect. So whether a glass is hot or cold, that you have to take a decision. Many times you have to take a decision, should I do this or not do this, do that or not do that. So when your intellect is pure and good and unbiased, then you take good decisions, But most of the time there is a problem at the level of intellect, that our intellect is biased, When there's a problem in the intellect, it gets biased. So for example, there is a enemy of yours, a great enemy who you do not like at all. And sometimes that enemy comes to you in the morning and says, hi, good morning, how are you? And what your intellect will do, your intellect will decide there is something wrong, right? How can this person be so good to me and asking so nicely, how are you? So the intellect has taken a wrong decision. And that is how we do at many occasions in our day-to-day life, that we take a wrong decision because our intellect is biased. So you need to purify your intellect also. So that is the fourth level, body, breath, the body, breath, mind, and intellect. The fourth level is intellect. The fifth level that we have is our memory, smriti, right? So like any other thing, the job of the memory is to remember, remember things. That is again a very important aspect that God has given us, that we have very strong memory. So the job of memory is to remember. And if we do not have the memory, we may get into somebody else's house and we go to somebody else's office and all kind of things will happen. So we need a memory. But the tendency of your memory is to remember negative things. It remembers negative things more than the positive things. For example, if you have a friend, the childhood friend, उसके साथ काफी अच्छा बचपन बिताया, सब किया, पर एक दिन तुम्हारा झगड़ा हो गया and उसने एक झापट लगा दिया, slapped you. And then you meet that friend 20 years later. What is the first thing that will come? What is the first thing you will remember? कि इसने मुझे झापट मारा था, right? So that is the tendency of the memories, to remember negative things. And we need to correct that tendency also. So the body, breath, mind, intellect, memory, that is a 5 level. Then the 6th level is your ego. Everyone has an ego and we need some ego, right? If there is no ego in us, if somebody tells us that you are a donkey, then we will say, smile, yes, I am donkey, right? But it is our ego which will not accept this. It is our ego which will force us to, look good, we want to be appreciated. We want to become doctor, engineer, we want to do this, we want to do that. All that is being done by the ego that we have inside. But if your ego is too much, it becomes a problem for ourselves and it creates wall between us and others. If your ego is very high, it will not allow you to freely interact with strangers. It will, if your ego is very high, even if you want to talk to someone, you'll say, no, what if he is not going to say hello to me? So ego becomes a problem. So ego should be like, aate mein namak jaisa ego hona chahiye, but normally our egos are very big. Not only that, sometimes we have negative egos, that negative ego means, I can't do this, I will not be able to do this, mere saath to aisa hi hota hai, main to aisa hi hu. This is also negative ego, which is really not good. So positive ego is not good, the negative ego is also not good. We need to make a correction in that. And once you go through all these levels of your body, breath, mind, intellect, memory, ego, the next level, the 7th level is yourself, what we can call it spirit, what we can call it atma, or whatever. So when you actually transcend all these levels and when you make a balance between these levels, when your body is working fine, when your breath is fine, when your intellect is not taking biased decision, when your memory is not remembering the negative things, when your ego is not high, then you can actually transcend to this level and then go to the 7th level, where there is a infinite joy. You will full time enjoy. There's no that you are sometime up and down. So when you go and establish yourself in yourself, then we can experience a permanent joy. We can experience a permanent love, and we can experience a permanent peace. And that is what we all should try to achieve, because as I said, the purpose of the life is to feel that joy, feel that love within us and feel that peace within us. So these are the 7 levels. And it needs to be corrected at many level. And the way to correct it is by yoga, pranayam, meditation. These are all the tools and techniques to correct it. But one of the most important thing I would tell you and recommend you is the Sudarshan Kriya. In Art of Living, there is a practice called Sudarshan Kriya. Sudarshan Kriya, right? If you want to see yourself, then you should once in life must do Sudarshan Kriya. And there are many courses that keeps happening of Art of Living, happiness programs. Right now, there are many online courses that are happening. Breath and the meditation, you should do that and experience yourself Sudarshan Kriya. And this is one of the most important, beautiful gift that you can give it to yourself. If you really want to do something for yourself, do this Sudarshan Kriya. So this is all that I wanted to tell you, that happiness is right now, we can't put a condition and wait here and there. Just be happy whatever situation you are. And then there are 7 levels of existence, and the imbalance in this existence is creating problem for us, and as a result of that we keep fluctuating and go through ups and downs. We must correct the 7 levels, and the best tool to correct it is Sudarshan Kriya. All right. So far on this aspect, if there is any question, I'll be very happy to answer. Is there any question? If there's any question regarding this the yoga and meditation part, I'll answer that. Else I will then start talking to the energy aspect of it.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
सर हम डेली योगा या मेडिटेशन करते हैं, लेकिन कितना भी कोशिश कर लो, लेकिन माइंड जो है वो कभी भी स्टेबल नहीं रहता है, वो here and there.
Right. See, I mean, so you need to, so which means that you're not really experience the deep meditation, because what will happen if it is task in the world is not.
Sir.
Sorry, I
not,
can't hear you.
Your voice is not coming, sir. Audio.
Okay. So what I was saying is that the mind will have to be nurtured over a period of time, because it will just not that today you learn a technique and then tomorrow you start feeling the really deep calmness inside you, because we have been kind of destroying our mind and our nature for a very, very long time. We have been indulging in things which has created more instability in our mind, and therefore, like a nurturing of a tree, from very small to we keep watering and the tree becomes big and then it gives fruits. Similar to that, the yoga meditation also we need to keep nurturing it, and then definitely you will get into a situation where you will feel that calmness, and it is one of the most beautiful thing that you can ever experience. I can tell you that no other thing in life, whether you can go to Himalaya, do this and do enjoy and go to movies, nothing you can get that such a deep calmness and joy as you can get from the meditation. So it's really beautiful thing, but keep doing it, it will come. And if you can do Sudarshan Kriya, which is as I said, is beautiful thing, I think you will really experience the first time when you do Sudarshan Kriya itself, you'll give really experience of the meditation. So do that and keep practicing, it will come.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? All right, so if there is no question, shall I start talking about the solar energy? So basically, I mean, one thing, whatever we just spoke about, it is also a kind of energy, right? So we call it as a positive energy, negative energy. When we are in positive energy, we feel good. When you are in negative energy, we do not feel good, right? So basically, what I'm trying to say is the energy is something which is there and it's omnipresent, right? Everywhere there is an energy, and therefore, I'm sorry, I'm outside. I'm trying to fix my mobile. So everywhere there is energy, and similar to that, our economic growth, our social growth, everything is also driven by energy. And we need to really understand what is the nature of this energy. And if you do not understand it properly, we may not ever solve this problem. So the nature of this energy is that I'm sorry. So the nature of the energy that we are using right now is the fossil fuel based, the coal based, oil based, gas based, and these energies are actually finite. It is creating problem. There is a climate change, and I'm sure all of you are aware that how serious the climate change has become, that it is threatening the existence of the life. How many of you are aware about this fact that the climate change is so serious that actually it is indeed a threat to the existence of human life? Of course not in next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but maybe 100 years, 150 years. How many of you feel that actually there is a real threat to the human life because of the climate change, right? So the climate, sorry, yeah, so the climate change is such a real threat that it is even a threat on the existence of human life. Now that is the situation. We should really, all of us should really be really worrying about it, not only for ourselves but our future generations, our children and their children. That is number one. Number two, because we know that the coal, oil and gas are finite, there is no way we can actually design our long life, right? Human life has been there for hundreds and thousands of years, and coal, oil and gas is there only for 50 years, 100 years. A lot of data that you'll find on the internet that will tell you that the existence of this fuel will not be very long. 100 years, 150 years for coal, 50 years for oil, and etc. So which means that the long life, if you want for us in future, cannot be based on the coal, oil and gas. And definitely it has a climate change impact. The CO2 level has gone up to 410 parts per million level. By the way, the CO2 level pre-industrial era used to be about 280 parts per million. So it has gone to 410, 15 parts per million, which is almost 46, 47% increase in the CO2 level. Now, 46% increase in the atmospheric CO2 level is a tremendous change, isn't it? Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is all of us who are working renewable energy anyway understands that we need to do this not because it is an alternative business for us, not because it is alternative energy for us, but we need to do this because this is the only way the human life can exist on the planet. And there are things which are already wrong in the world. Not only that it is wrong in the world, we need to correct it in a very, very short time. By the way, all of you might be knowing about the Sustainable Development Goals. And the Sustainable Development Goals tells us that by 2030, most of the world should cut down the CO2 emission by 45% of 2015 level, right? So we need to be 45% down by 2030, that is 10 years from now, of 2015 level. But what is happening, unfortunately, that from 2015 till now, the CO2 level has actually increased. So now the speed at which we have to cut down the CO2 emission is even faster. And the climate change report also tells us that by 2050, we have to become net carbon zero, that we should not be emitting any carbon by 2050. Now that's a far away, but even 2030 target, there is nowhere close that we are going to achieve it. A lot of countries are going to fail to achieve the target. The America is already out of it. And therefore, in this situation, we need even bigger steps to correct the situation and try to go to 100% solar. Therefore, I have come up with this idea. I have written also a book last year, what I call is Energy Swaraj. What we need is Energy Swaraj, that we all need to generate and consume and fulfill our own energy requirement. By the way, India is a very energy poor country. We import coal, we import oil, we import gas, we import nuclear fuel. Not only that, we import and spend a lot of money, but we also are dependent on other countries, it is also threat to our security. And so is true for many other countries. Almost 165 countries in the world are energy importers. As a result of that, the world situation, not only our country's situation, the world situation is very precarious. It is very fragile, that one big event in the world can actually affect other thing. For example, the war on Iraq has affected the oil prices at that time. So therefore it's very, very kind of important that we switch to the renewable energy as soon as possible and bring energy storage. So various dimensions are there. Now, the next thing is, what does it require to make it happen? Do we require more policies? Do we require more subsidies? Do we require more awareness? Do we require more training? Do we require more production? What is it that is required to come to a situation where we imagine energy storage, where we all become independent generator and user of energy? What it requires? So I have been doing a lot of work with the government of India since last 10-15 years. Last year I have gone around the world as part of my Gandhi Global Solar Yatra, and I have seen various countries are in the similar situation. It's not only our country, but various other countries are also in a similar situation, that they are in energy kind of troublesome scenario. So my understanding is that any new policy from the government may not be sufficient to solve this problem. Any new subsidy scheme from the government may not be sufficient to solve this problem. And problem I'm telling about the climate change, I'm telling about the future of our generations, our children. So therefore, in my understanding, that the policies, the subsidies are not going to play a major role. Of course, the level at which we are operating right now, it plays a role, right? So suppose there is a subsidy of 30%, 50% in the water pump, some 10 lakh people, 5 lakh people will actually get a water pump. But in such a big country, the 10 lakh, 5 lakh is nothing. So there is no way government can provide so much subsidy. There is no way any policy can be effective. And if we really want to bring energy storage, we have to act independently without waiting for any of this support and system from the government. I have been thinking about it over and over again and again, and I've been discussing this in various forums, and I did not get any objection to this, that yes, we need to be really working independent without dependent on the policy of the government and the subsidies. And the good reason is that why should we do that is I already given the logic, but it is also making economic sense right now because the solar panels have come down so much in the cost. The batteries are coming down in the cost very fast. And as a result of that, it is allowing us to provide economically viable solutions. Sometimes the net metering itself is a good facility available, but that itself is a problem. That we need to dependent on someone and this connection, pay some fee and get the meter and all. I would rather suggest that let us start working and focusing on the off-grid solar solution, irrespective of whether you have electricity connection in your house or in your city or not. So when we say energy storage, we can think of this scenario where people surrender electricity connection, go off the grid and adopt to solar 100%. And when you do that, that is real independence, that is real storage. And if you want to do that, a lot of people need to be aware about that there is a climate change problem. A lot of people have to provide the solution. A lot of people have to provide the services. So we are going to need a lot of entrepreneurs, thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs in local area will be required if you really aim for energy storage. And when situation is such a grim that it is going to affect the existence of humans, and if you explain this to people, I'm sure slowly and gradually people will understand that it is bigger thing to save ourselves rather than saving some cost here and there. And therefore I am pretty convinced that if you spend enough time with the people, tell them what is the current situation of the world, how the solar solution will help, how a local entrepreneur will actually make sure that the solution is working reliably, there is a good chance that we will be able to convince people to surrender electricity connection and go for solar. That will of course create a lot of business opportunities. It will create a lot of job opportunities. It will make local people confident on energy. It will create local skills. It will strengthen the local economy. All kind of things will happen, which is what Gandhiji has been saying. 125 years he said we need Gram Swaraj. We need to be locally sufficient. And I think it is very high time, and our Prime Minister has also mentioned recently that we need to do the local manufacturing, local services and all. So therefore, it is very, very important to adopt this localization concept in this energy sector, in the solar energy sector. And I think the technology is there, cost reduction is there, all kind of things are available. You need to just spend enough time with the consumers and customers and keep telling them how it is important that they can actually go on solar and live it. There are many examples where, for example, I have developed a campus in Madhya Pradesh some 10 years ago, and since then it is working 100% on solar. No electricity connection is ever taken. Right now, I am also pushing a drive which is called Surrender Electricity Connection. As a part of our Energy Swaraj Foundation, we are doing this Energy Swaraj movement, and through this movement, we are asking at least 1 crore family member in the next 10 years to surrender electricity connection. And all of you also start working in that direction. I think this will become the new normal in energy sector, that we are all energy independent. And that will be great contribution to the nature, that will be great contribution to economy, that will be great contribution to for our future generation. And of course, all of you can actually make money and make your living out of it also. So I think that is all what I want to say, that it is time to really change the gear and go 100% on solar. You believe in yourself that yes, that is the way to go. And once you start believing in it, you start showing it, starting from your own house. I'm sure the world will open up very fast than you can imagine, and will go on solar 100% or any renewable. I mean, I spoke about solar because I know solar, but I'm sure the same is true for other renewables also. All right. So thank you very much. And if there are any, yes. So I know that Prime Minister has asked, and a lot of people has asked me to think about it and give it solution. Well, I mean, see, I mean, the whole idea, the whole current capitalistic model, the economic model, forces us to think in this direction, that why can't I this, and when sun is rising at this part, why can't I transmit to the other part and all. I mean, so that makes a good intellectual exercise that we can do. But why, when we can generate solar on our rooftop, why should we do all kind of arrangement and cross this line, and a lot of losses will take place, a lot of infrastructural investment will require. All the big companies will actually get into such a job. You will not, small entrepreneurs will not get opportunity to participate in all. So I believe that for the broader good, when we want society to grow, we want people to grow, and we want equity in the society, right? One of the major problem of this world is that it is unequal, right? And as the economy is growing, world is becoming more and more unequal. And when you're more unequal, there are more problems, there are more terrorists, there are more violence, there is more fight, there is more, everything will happen. So until unless we take actions and economic directions in which we help people to improve the equity in the world, I don't think world is going to become peaceful. So energy should not be looked into the isolation, because energy is such an important aspect in our own lives, and our own drives, and everything is driven by energy. And it is such an important aspect that can affect our life. We cannot look only at one dimension of it. We have to look at all dimensions. We have to look at women empowerment. We have to look at skill development. We have to look at local economy development. We have to look at sustainability. We have to minimize the material consumption. Everything is part of that aspect. And therefore, one grid, one world, I don't think is a beautiful idea, because it is going to work against this sustainability, which is, and the lack of sustainability is what a threat to our life, threat to human existence. And when such a thing exists, is still going with the same economic model, same idea, doing things bigger, is really not going to work. By the way, there is a German economist, E.F. Schumacher. He wrote a book way back in 1970s. He wrote that any intelligent fool, listen carefully, any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent. Right? So what we are doing in life right now, we are making bigger house, bigger car, bigger mall, bigger factory, bigger grid, bigger this. So we are all behaving like intelligent fools, isn't it? And he further said that any intelligent fool can make things bigger and more violence and more complex, but it requires touch of a genius to make things simpler, smaller, and less complex. And the Gandhian philosophy of locally self-sufficient is actually making you genius, making you smaller, making you less complex, making you less dependent on other things. As a result of that, you will be more prosperous, more peaceful, more confident, more independent. That is what is required. So we don't have to make things bigger. Rather, what is required is we need to make things smaller. And when we go off the grid, each one of us go off the grid, I think we will move in that direction. Well, I mean, number one, as I said, there is absolutely no way we can look only from economic angle and do things, right? It is only thinking from economic angle has destroyed the world so much, because the only thing that we have learned in last 50, 100 years is that everything else can go for the toss. Only economic should succeed, isn't it? Everything we want to only make a economic successful, and everything else can, morality can go down, ethics can go down, we can destroy the nature, our children can suffer, our parents can suffer, everything is fine. Only one thing should be successful, that is the economics. If you spend 1 rupee, you should get 1.25 rupees. This one singular dimension focus on making successful economy successful is what is the problem in the world. But let me tell you that if you are sinking in the middle of river and there is a boat, which normal rent of the boat is 10 rupees, but now you're sinking in the river, and suddenly you see the boat, and boatman asks, I will take 100 rupees to save you. Are you going to bargain with the boatman that why are you taking 100 rupees? The rent is only 10 rupees, isn't it? You're not going to bargain. So when your life is sinking, when the planet, the ecosystem is sinking, the economic argument that it has to be grid parity is all actually, super nonsense and stupidity. By the way, the solar grid electricity is already 2.5 rupees. People are selling to the government of India. With the battery, it is 4, 5, 6 rupees. So it is already at that level. There are hundreds of research papers which are available that solar is it's grid parity. And recently there was a newspaper article which says it is actually grid parity with the coal also. But I would not like to convince people from that angle that it is grid parity. Forget it, because I want to make people really aware and become sensitive. And once you are sensitive, you don't need convincing कि ये सस्ता है इसलिए करना चाहिए या महंगा इसलिए करना चाहिए. I don't want to go from that angle. And Energy Swaraj, we will not make economic arguments. We will make a bigger argument, which is actually connecting to our life and our nature and our mind and our sustainability. And if people do not understand that argument, then let them die. What is my problem? So अभी situation ऐसा है कि करो नहीं तो मरो, right? So फिर भी नहीं करेंगे तो मरेंगे. That's fine. Our duty is to tell them that what is required. If they are not going to do it, I'm fine with it.
Inspire yourself. Already
Thank
I am
you.
in the field of electrical contractor only in Daman. So it's a very good opportunity to hear from you.
Well, I mean, so the challenges that I see right now is the challenges from the policy perspective, challenges from the subsidy perspective, and the challenges of not having enough awareness among the people, that how much cost reduction has already happened. That awareness is not yet there. The second category of challenge is the poor demonstration of solar technology. For example, a lot of street lights, solar street light doesn't work because people in the past, they have designed it and installed it and not taken care of it. As a result of that, it becomes a big demonstration for people that how solar doesn't work. So these are the challenges, but I don't think that there is a challenge from the technological perspective or there is any challenge from the economic perspective. It's more of a policy. It is more of a the bad practice. It is more of a lack of awareness.
Yeah, actually, for that reason, many times people are not convincing regarding the solar installation, because in earlier, as you said, that key solar light and solar many installation is done, but nobody has taken care for that, and the maintenance, what they have to do maintenance on that, they have not done. So there is a negative thinking in every entrepreneurs or every person. This is not working but as on now, the way of the cost of panel is very less, I think, and there is more technology involved in that, so that very less maintenance required for that. But the convincing to convincing the installation is very difficult due to that past experience of them.
Yes. So मतलब पुराने जो कर्म खराब किए हैं उसका भुगतान करना पड़ेगा, और अभी ज्यादा मेहनत करना पड़ेगी to convince people. As simple as this.
Yes.
All right. Any other question?
आपके मिशन में कैसे जुड़ सकते हैं?
Sorry?
ये जो स्वराज वाला जो आपका मिशन है, इसमें कैसे जुड़ सकते हैं, कैसे सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं?
Energy Swaraj ka mission, I would like to thank you for asking this question. I would like to tell one more thing to all of you, that I am taking a very long leave from IIT Bombay. Starting from July, I will be at least on 5 years leave, and I have made a plan to actually go around with what is called Energy Swaraj Yatra. So we are designing a solar powered bus which will be my house for next 11 years. Till 2020, till 2030, there will be Energy Swaraj Yatra. The whole purpose is to create a public movement of sort, so that public at large can come forward and go for solar. Now, if you want to help in this, there are many ways you can do that. There are a lot of trainings that we are organizing. You can conduct in your area. You can become entrepreneur, and Swaraj Foundation is actually, there are a lot of products and solutions that we are offering through the help of local entrepreneur only. We will help only in technology and the material supply, so you can become entrepreneur. There are many solar shops which are already supporting. We are trying to create solar showrooms in the cities. We are providing cooking solutions. So a lot of things. If you visit our website energyswaraj.org, then you can find the ways in which you can associate with us. We have very major target of bringing awareness to 1 billion people, around the world, not only in India. So it's a huge target, and there are many ways, many other targets, and you can definitely participate as an entrepreneur, as a academician, or as a social worker, to help us in many ways to fulfill those objectives. And the objectives are basically to spread awareness and provide solar solution.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for this information, because I have also the same question for that, how we can join with you.
Yes. So we stay in touch with the energyswaraj.org page. There are other social media pages also that we have. For example, a lot of things that we are going to do on the World Environment Day. There are 5 days activity will happen. I don't know if you're aware that I have designed that course, which is free for everyone to. And the video course teaches you how to design your own solar system, home system. You can help us to spread that courses. You can spread that in your own network, so that many people can view those courses and get the certificate also. So there are lots of opportunities in which we can collaborate, and you can help us to establish Energy Swaraj in your part of the country.
Great, sir.
All details are mentioned on that website, sir.
Sorry?
Details are there on the website.
All details are there on the website. Yeah. All details are there, and as and when things are getting finalized. For example, you will not find detail about Energy Swaraj Yatra, but it will come soon. So as and when things are getting finalized, we are putting on the website.
Sure, sounds good.
One of our principle of Energy Swaraj Foundation is we will not apply for any government funding. We will not make use of any subsidy. So that is clear in our philosophy and activity. We do not ask for any grants, you know. And we do that because we believe that time is not left at all. Time is very short. Government processes are very long. It eats away a lot of time and energy. Therefore, it is better to work independently. And if government comes along with you, that's not a problem. But let us not waste time in approaching and getting this and getting that done. You know? That's our philosophy and our approach.
I agree with that approach. We
So
have to
thank
be
you.
self-sustainable first, so
Then
that,
only it can happen in a broad scale, right? Then only it can go to the
Absolutely.
millions and millions. Otherwise, subsidies will always go to tens and thousands and lakhs, which is not sufficient to make any impact on the climate change. We'll just become an observer and will not be able to contribute anything. So if you really want to contribute, believe that solar is the solution from many angles and start promoting in that way.
sure.
All right, so thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you got some points from here. So first, be calm and quiet and peaceful from inside, and once you are calm and quiet and peaceful from inside, we can really be the warrior from outside. And this is the balance of calmness inside and being like a warrior outside is what will make our life fruitful and happy and stable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a good day and stay safe and do the solar as much as